Welcome back. This is the Derek Smith Spiel, and this is the weekly sports update, July 14th through 20th. There's a lot going on in the NFL, and as always, we're going to start there. The Kansas City Chiefs re-signed right guard Trey Smith to a 4-year, $94 million deal. This deal makes him the highest-paid interior lineman in NFL history. His $70 million guaranteed is also a historically high number for an offensive guard. The Chiefs' main goal this offseason was to boost their O-line and better protect Patrick Mahomes. This move is the last crucial pickup for their offensive line. The Chiefs now have Trey Smith, Jalen Moore, Kingsley Samate, Creed Humphrey, and Jawan Taylor. In Washington, Von Miller joins the Commanders on a 1-year deal to help boost the Commanders' pass rush. The Commanders definitely won the free agency this offseason. They have better pass protection. They have Deebo Samuel, the dual threat weapon, either from the backfield, from the slot, at wide receiver, returner. He can do just about anything on offense. And now they have Von Miller to boost their defensive line. Von Miller is 16th in all-time sacks with 129.5. Although he is 36, he will bring a veteran presence with a lot of advice, and he still has some pass rush moves, to get to the quarterback. There is no doubt about that. He really hasn't appeared to be super slow in the past 2 years. There have been some injuries, but he's still getting to the quarterback and doing his job well. Speaking of pass rushers, TJ Watt, he is staying in Pittsburgh. Watt is signing a 3-year, $123 million extension, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. That extension comes on top of a $108 million guarantee contract. He is making an average of $41 million a year. TJ Watt, he led the league in sacks over the last 5 years with 73.5 sacks. This now makes TJ Watt the best negotiator in the NFL, the best pass rusher in the NFL, and the biggest asshole in the NFL. TJ Watt went from appearing miserable to being in Pittsburgh to being the happiest guy on earth. He made it seem like he would rather be anywhere else than in Pittsburgh with a winning record on a winning team, already being the highest paid player on that team, making it to the playoffs every year. He seemed like he hated that. He wanted no part to do with the team. All of a sudden, they made him the highest paid player, non-quarterback in NFL history, and he's totally changed. He's ecstatic to be in Pittsburgh. He loves Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin. He's posting online pictures of him flexing and screaming, "Oh, so hyped to be in Pittsburgh." It's all a sham. It's stupid. It's stupid. He won. Great negotiating on his part. Fans of TJ Watt should be very happy that he was able to play the Steelers like this, but it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. But on a different note, more of a high note, Jahmyr Gibbs, he donated all of his $12.9 million bonus money to a homeless shelter initiative helping fund 150 housing units and 300 shelter beds. Not all people in the NFL are assholes. Some people actually do give their money away. And it's really nice to see when a professional athlete, or really anyone who made it big and is just bringing in more money than they know what to do with, it's always awesome to see them give back to their community, because not everyone does it. Some people let the money change them. Some people just hold on to the money. But to give back to your community is a beautiful thing. And that's what Jahmyr Gibbs is doing. He said he's seen the effects of homelessness when he was growing up, and he wanted to make sure that if he made it to the NFL, he would do as much as he could to try and limit homelessness, that big issue. Garrett Wilson, he was signed to a 4-year, $130 million contract with the Jets. In that deal, there are $90 million guaranteed dollars, giving him the fourth most amount of guaranteed money for all wide receivers. It is also the first time in NFL history that a wide receiver will be making an average of $31 million a year after only their first 3 seasons. Wilson is now with the Jets through 2030, after last year having career highs in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Plus, he will now be catching balls thrown by his former teammate at Ohio, Justin Fields. Both those two are extremely excited to be on the same team again. It'll be interesting to see how they click. Also with Aaron Glenn as a head coach in New York now. And now into the NFL rankings. The last 2 categories I have, we're starting with wide receivers. Speaking of Garrett Wilson, he is ranked number 10. It was very tight between Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, and Brian Thomas Jr. Personally, I think Brian Thomas Jr. deserves a spot in this top 10. He was 3rd in receiving yards with 1,282 and 6th in touchdowns with 10. Garrett Wilson, he had 1,104 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. Both players had great years, but Brian Thomas Jr. he had a phenomenal year and statistic-wise did better than Garrett Wilson. At number 9 was Mike Evans, probably the most consistent wide receiver in the NFL. At number 8 was Nico Collins. This one was very questionable. He had 1,006 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns last year. Terry McLaurin had a better season with 1,096 yards and 13 touchdowns, plus Brian Thomas, who was mentioned earlier, and Garrett Wilson. Malik Nabers comes in at number 7. He had 1,024 yards and 7 touchdowns. There's been a lot of noise around Malik Nabers, and I didn't really follow the Giants. I wasn't aware that he had a year that good. I didn't know he was a 1,000-yard receiver. Malik Nabers is definitely living up to the hype. Number 6, Amon-Ra St. Brown. 5, A.J. Brown. 4, C.D. Lamb. And at number 3, Tyreek Hill. That's terrible. He played all 17 games last year and was 30th in receiving yards. Didn't even break 1,000. He had 959 and 35th in touchdowns with only 6. Tyreek Hill shouldn't even be in the top 10 after how he performed last year. He had a terrible year. I know he has unbelievable speed, but he just did not do good last year. I don't see him as I don't see him even as a top 10 wide receiver after how he performed. But they got the top 2 right. Number 2, Justin Jefferson, and number 1, the Triple Crown winner, Jamar Chase. Top 10 quarterbacks. At number 10 is Baker Mayfield. Number 9, Jalen Hurts. If you look at Jalen Hurts, his stats-wise, he is not a very good traditional passer. Not extremely efficient passing the ball, but he's a very good runner. He gets the job done passing, and he does what it takes for his team to win. So you got to tip your hat to Jalen Hurts. At number 8 is Jared Goff. And this seems a little low for Jared Goff. I know as a Lions fan, I've been saying a lot of the Lions players are low, but they just are. When you look at Jared Goff, he was 2nd in pass yards per attempt last year with 8.6. He was 2nd in passing yards with 4,692. And he threw, from play action, he threw a completion rate. He threw a completion rate from play action at 75.4%. He passed for 1,984 yards and 15 touchdowns. All of that from play action, and all of those first in the league. He's the best quarterback from play action. He was racking up just about every stat you could and traditional passing. His team was successful. His team won. He was on one of the best offenses in the NFL. He was 4th in passing touchdowns and 6th in passer rating. He's only ranked number 8 on this list when you look at all that. Now, there are a lot of amazing quarterbacks on this list, but like 7, Justin Herbert, great quarterback. Jared Goff could probably be above him. At 6, Matthew Stafford, and I love seeing Matthew Stafford on the top 10. He is a future Hall of Famer. He has 7 seasons with over 4,000 passing yards. In 2017, he became the second quarterback to pass for 4,000 yards in 7 straight seasons. The first one was Drew Brees. He has 31 fourth-quarter comebacks. That's the most since 2009. He has 38 game-winning drives. That's 4th among active quarterbacks. He's the second fastest quarterback to 30,000 yards. Fastest is Patrick Mahomes. He's the fastest quarterback to 40,000 yards and fastest quarterback to 50,000 yards. And after this season, he is most likely going to be a 60,000 yard passer. All of that, so when he made it to 30,000 and 40,000 yards, all of that was with the Detroit Lions, who, in Matthew Stafford's time with the Detroit Lions, they ranked first in dropped passes. Most of the fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives, that was also with the Detroit Lions, who were just either terrible or 500. That's what Matthew Stafford was working with when he racked up all those stats. A team that was first in drops, had a terrible defense. So yes, Matthew Stafford is a future Hall of Famer. I'd love to see him in the top 10 list. At number 5 is Jaden Daniels, had a phenomenal rookie year. Number 4, Lamar Jackson, who had another amazing year in Baltimore. At number 3, they had Joe Burrow, which is horrible. He should be number 1. He led the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns. He led the league in completion percentage with 70.6 completion percentage. He only had an 11% off-target rate, which is the lowest in the NFL. And he was the first player in NFL history to have 8 straight games with at least 250 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns. Joe Burrow was the best quarterback in the NFL last year. He had a phenomenal year. And he can run too. So if you're talking, he's not the best all around, he is. Joe Burrow is amazing. He should be number 1 on this list. Number 2 is Josh Allen, and a phenomenal quarterback. And number 1, you guessed it, they had Patrick Mahomes, who is coming off his worst year in the NFL. Obviously still a great quarterback, but he had a worse year than Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, and Lamar Jackson, and he still maintains the number 1 spot. Kind of crazy. On to the MLB. There's not much news, but the MLB, the news I have is big. The MLB is opposed to creating a salary cap after baseball's labor deals end in 2026. The argument for the cap is simple. It is not fair that the Mets, Dodgers, and Yankees, obviously there's a huge disparity in pay, but the big 3 are the Mets, Dodgers, and Yankees. They have the most money. And they can buy anyone, anything they want because they have more money than anyone else. When it comes to the bidding war and free agency, those 3 teams could win any bidding war they want. It would be a more competitive game if there was a salary cap. Those 3 teams, the Mets, Dodgers, and Yankees, individually, those 3 teams are paying more in payroll taxes than the White Sox and Mariners are paying in total. It's no shock that the Mariners and White Sox are at the bottom of the standings. Just when you hear that, how little money they are working with compared to other MLB teams. However, this is an argument I never really heard, and it's very interesting to hear. The argument to keep the salary, to keep no salary cap, is that it rewards successful teams because they have more money to spend. Winning brings in money. I never really looked at it that way, but there is even more. A salary cap would just mean that all the extra money that teams make will go to the organization's pocket. It will not be spent on players or fans. It will just be piled up and most likely divvied out to all the owners. So a salary cap will make more competitive games, but it will also punish successful teams and make the rich richer. It will not grow the sport the same way that not having a salary cap does. Right now, the argument for whether there should be a salary cap or keep no salary cap, that's just making the players frustrated and anxious because they know if an answer is not figured out by 2026 when the labor deals are due, they know there won't be games held if they don't figure these negotiations out. A similar issue happened in the 94-95 season, the strike season. And as always, wrapping it up with the UFC, this weekend was UFC 318. 318 was a great card. It was very entertaining. Really, there was no boring fights. Before the main card, the silent assassin Atiba Gautier won his 7th straight fight with a dominant first-round TKO. He is a star in the making. Watch out for the silent assassin. Daniel Rodriguez, he beat Tom Holland on the main card by unanimous decision, and that bout won the fight of the night. That was a very good fight. Tom Holland fights frequently and always puts on a show. It's hard to not be a fan of Tom Holland. Paulo Costa, he looked back in his form after a very, very dominant fight. It's really cool to see Paulo Costa. I listened to an interview with him, Paulo Costa and Nina Drama. He's a charming guy, really entertaining. It's cool to watch him get his stride back after he had delays, losing to Izzy the way he did, what Izzy did to him. That is obviously a mental psyche that threw him off. Then he got busted for steroids. Just really threw off all his momentum. It's cool to see him getting that back and returning to where he's comfortable with all those kicks. His kicking game was on point. But the main event, the real reason for the card, especially for it being in Louisiana, Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway, the trilogy fight, and the send-off for Dustin Poirier. Dustin ended up losing to Max Holloway by unanimous decision in the trilogy fight. And it was poetic. Dustin was Max's debut fight, and now Max is Poirier's last fight. It was very entertaining. Both of those guys laid it all out on the line. There was a bunch of respect shown between the two. And it was a really cool send-off for Dustin Poirier. Obviously, he did not get the win, which probably would have been sweeter, but just to see the support from the crowd, from Max Holloway's sons, it was a very cool moment, and it seems like everything Dustin could have asked for, win or lose. He just went out there and performed as he always does. A true legend. It was a great card to celebrate Dustin's career and a great send-off. Ryan Clark, he believes that if Dustin Poirier won and retired with the BMF belt, he thought that they should just retire the belt with him. Obviously, they didn't have to even consider that because Max Holloway retained the belt. But the reasoning for it was great. The BMF belt isn't really necessary when it doesn't represent the number one contender, but it's the epitome of everything Dustin Poirier is. He goes out there and he puts on a show, win or lose. He leaves it all out. He goes for the finish. He's a true fighter, and that is why everyone celebrated the career of Dustin Poirier. It was an awesome send-off. UFC 318 was great. But in the heavyweight division, is a division that has been disappointing, to say the least, due to the huge gap between Aspinall and Jones and everyone else, and then John Jones retiring. There seems to be a glimmer of hope in the form of Derek Lewis, Is Derek Lewis the next guy to fight Tom Aspinall? Derek Lewis is the king of KOs. He's just coming off of a knockout. King of KOs is 16, I will add. He's just coming off of a knockout, and he has beat everyone that Tom Aspinall has beat as well. Almost everyone Tom Aspinall has beat. It seems like he earned the spot to be the number one contender for the belt. And if that fight were to happen, it would be the two finishing kings against each other. Aspinall rarely lets his opponent stay in the fight past round one, and Derek Lewis is the KO king. That would be an awesome fight to see, and hopefully it would get the heavyweight division back on track. Things are looking great in the UFC. But that's all I've got. That is the weekly sports update from July 14th through 20th. Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by yours truly, Derek Smith, with help from the voice memos and Spotify Podcasters app. For more content like this, you can continue listening to the Derek Smith Spiel on Spotify, or you can listen on my YouTube channel at Derek Smith Stock 13. There you'll find my podcast and sports betting videos on top of that. If you're a fan of my sports betting videos, you can also see highlights of those on my TikTok account. You can find that by searching at SmithStock5 again on TikTok. Enjoy collecting cards? If so, check out my Collects account at Derek Smith Stock to get deals on quality cards. For updates on everything I mentioned, follow my Instagram account. You can find that by searching Derek Smith Stock 13 on Instagram. Not interested in sports? Then go to YouTube and watch Dylan Smith Outdoors YouTube channel. Search Dylan Smith Outdoors, where there are plenty of outdoor content videos, including hunting, catching, trail cam and tree stand setup, cooking, and plenty of laughs in between. Need your lawn sprayed? Whether it's weeds or insects, Greenwood Ecologics has you covered. If you need help making your lawn greener than your neighbors, call Greenwood Ecologics at 585-739-1610. I repeat, 585-739-1610. Finally, thank you for listening to this production of the Derek Smith Spiel. Every view or listener is appreciated. I'll catch you later.